Now, getting into what it is that we have as far as business scale up is concerned, there is an outline that you don't want to ever forget, a complete outline that depicts the thing you have to do to scale up your business, which number one is attention. You need to get attention. We discussed that initially. Then the second thing after getting attention is to convert this attention into interest. Now, in converting attention to interest, you have to give information. Information given about the client, not about you. Information given is also means you get to get information from the client when you give them information about them. So if you give information, you convert attention to interest, and that talks about lead generation. Now you need to convert this interest to time. And for you to convert interest to time, you need to give value. Now, if you give value, you convert interest to time. That talks about lead nurturing. Now, here's something you need to really understand. People don't really pay you because you offer them value. If you offer people value, they'll give you their time. People pay for something different, which I'm about to tell you. So yes, attention to interest, interest to time. Now you need to convert this time to money. If you give people influence, if you influence people, they will pay you. People only pay for things that influence them, whether it is valuable or not. As long as it has an influence with them or on them, they will pay you money for it. It's not because you created value. The reason for that is because there are lots of alternatives to whatever value that you're creating. So you have to give people more than the value you've created for them to pay you, which is influence. I'm going to show you how to synthesize and create influence in the consequent section of this discourse. But if you give people influence, they give you money. Or if you influence people, they give you money. Now, thinking about this, if you've ever spent money on something you know it's not valuable and you can't explain why, you probably think it's branding. It's beyond branding, even if that is part of it. It's like why most addicts, even if they know cigarette smoking is bad for their health with the whole science on it, like with the whole science of cancer and the diagrams and images on it, people still smoke because they still spend their money on this, something they know is not valuable to them because it influences them. Now, you might call that addiction, but that would also depict that we are all addicts because we all spend money on something that is not valuable not to us. It's like spending money on social media, spending data on social media, spending time on social media, and at the end you feel miserable. Your time is gone, your data is gone, your money is gone, but you spend money on it. That is because it's not about value, it's about influence. But that begs the question, why then create value if people are paying money for influence? Have you ever been robbed? If you've ever been robbed and your money went to a thief or a person who stole from you, why did money leave you when you were not given value? You were not given your life, even if it could have been taken. That is because whatever it is the person was holding or whatever it is that you were confronted with was something that had influence on you, and that made money leave you. People spend money on influence. Now, the reason you're creating value is because it's scalable and it's sustainable. It's difficult to scale up evil. You have to be really, really intelligent, really, really, really narcissistic, and probably psychotic in a very heightened way to scale up evil and create wealth through evil. So one of the reasons you create wealth or you create value, it's not necessarily so people pay you money. It's because it's scalable and it's sustainable. But if you need money, you need to synthesize and attach influence to that value. Even if it's valuable and there is no influence, people don't pay you. So yes, attention to interest, interest to time, time to money, and then money to the person. You after getting the people's money, you still need to get them. And to get them, you give them trust. You give them trust. As long as you give a person trust, they give you themselves. So you get their attention, you get their interest, you get their time, you get their money, and you get them. And this process talks about getting their interest, talks about lead generation, getting their time talks about lead nurturing, getting their money talks about lead conversion, and getting them talks about lead retention. And this is what we are going to be discussing in the course of this. We've spoken about attention and lead generation. Now, talking about lead nurturing. The goal for lead nurturing is to be the option when people want to buy. To be the option when people want to buy. Not necessarily to convince or force people to buy immediately. It's called futuristic marketing when you are the option when people want to make a purchase. That is because there are four kinds of people you would meet whenever you're going to make a sale or whenever you want to sell something to someone. And these are the four types of people. Number one is called the product convert. The product converts are people who want to buy immediately. Like if you meet people and you're talking to a group of people, or you're using a medium, maybe social media or whatever, there are just a couple of people who want to pay you money immediately for whatever it is you want to offer. And this is just about 1 to 5% of people. On an average, just 3% of people. That means if you're exposed to 100 people, it's just about 1 out of that 100 that wants to buy immediately at that moment. And that is the first group of people, the product convert. The second group have to do with, it's called the personality converts. The personality converts are not necessarily people who are interested in the product or the services you offer, but rather they are interested in you. If you've probably been talking to a person and you're talking about your product or services, but they're more interested in you as an individual, probably giving you a job, giving you something that is different from whatever it is that you sell. Those are personality converts. They just like how you talk. They like you as an individual, especially if you're an attractive person also. Those are personality converts. And there are also just about 1 to 5% of people that they don't want to buy, they just want you. Now, the third group of people are called impediment converts or impeded converts. These are people that they want to buy, they love what you're selling, they love the product or services, but there is some sort of an impediment. There is something that is stopping them from making a purchase. And you don't know what it is initially, but it could be either that they don't have time for this. They want this, they want to buy it, they love what you're selling, but they don't just have the time. They just wish that they had the time to use this right now. Or maybe they don't have the money for it. They love it, they want to pay for it. They wish they could, but they don't have the money for it. They just wish they could. Or maybe it's not about the fact that they don't have the money or the fact that they don't have the time. Maybe they don't trust you. It's just about you. They love the product, they love the services, but they don't just trust you, some sort of an impediment or the other. Or maybe they don't just want, maybe it's something, just an impediment. And this makes up about 60% of the people you meet. 16% of people the impediment converts. There's some sort of an impediment stopping them from purchasing. And the last group is called anti-converts. These are people who would never want whatever it is you have to sell, whatever it is you have to offer, the products, the services, whatever. They don't care. This makes up at least 30 to 40% of people. They don't care. That means there are actually people you go to sell things to and they don't care about it. It's irrespective of what you say, irrespective of what you want to sell. If they end up buying from you, you probably manipulated them and they would catch up to it, and that would be it. So that's 60% of people who have an impediment is a huge market and should be a major target. So how do we get the people who have an impediment to be the option when these impediments are being removed? You do that through nurturing. It's why it's not really about getting them to buy immediately. It's only the first group that wants to buy immediately. This 60%, the goal is to be the option when they want to buy. So how do you nurture them when you've gotten their contacts at lead generation? 6 ways you could do that. These 6 ways is called, number 1, is through the process, through the problem, through the person, through the offer, through the value, or through the question. Now, what does these 6 things mean? Talking about process. Nurturing people, don't forget that what you're trying to do is to let these individuals know that you are the person to provide this value. People might want the service or products that you're offering, but they don't just want you associated with it. You're the problem, they're not buying it. You're the difference to it. So by nurturing individuals, you're proving to them that I can be trusted. I can be the person to provide these services to you. And one way you can do that is to describe the person's problem more than they can. If you can describe the person's problem more than they can, they will trust you to provide the solution. And it's through these nurturing processes that you're doing that, which the first of it is the process. The process is when you send the process of the creation of the final value. For some, it might be the behind the scenes for you. How is this value created? What is the work going into this? This is why I keep telling you that people don't necessarily pay for the process, but they are nurtured by it. Well, the one way that you can prove credibility is by showing people the process. They want to see what work went into this. They want to see how this value is created. They really don't want to do it, but they want to see that you're credible. So the process is one way of nurturing. The second have to do with the problem. The problem. Now, when I talk about the problem, it's not necessarily about the problem that the thing is trying to solve. Now, this is really important. Every single thing that is created solves a problem, but by being created, it created a new problem. For instance, if you sell clothing, the problem for covering of nakedness, the problem for physical beauty and all that have been solved by clothes, but a new problem was created. The people that make this usual cliche comments like, I don't have what to wear, even if they have a full wardrobe. So that is a new problem that was created by the solution. So what do you do in your nurturing? You create a solution to this same problem that was created by that solution. So what I mean by that is you want to show people how to combine what to wear in your nurturing, not just to put up your clothes. Because this is a problem associated, that this is how to combine the clothes. This is what to wear for a date. This is what to wear for a casual outing. This is how to combine the colors and all that. You won't do that in nurturing. Whatever it is you sell, whatever it is you do, just know that it created a new problem. How do you solve that new problem that was created by it? You do that in nurturing. Now, that talks about the problem. The person, you also want to nurture people by the person. Who are the people who are behind these things? Probably you. You want people to see your story. You want people to get in touch with you as an individual. That is how you humanize your product or services and have people have some emotional affiliation with it. You want to associate you somehow with it. You want people to get to meet you, to get to meet the founders, the workers, the employees, whoever it is that are the people behind this. So you can nurture people by the person. Now, the third thing is the value. And this is what most people do, just to post the final value, the final thing you created. Most or social media platforms focus on posting just the value, the final thing, they put it up. But that is just one way of nurturing people. Then the next is the offering. The offering have to do with, outside the product or services, what is it that you're giving people an opportunity to participate in? What is the next thing that is coming up with what you're creating that people have to participate in, to pay for, to do something about that? This is coming up this date. You get to pay for this, and this is what you get from it. That talks about the offering. Now, it's really important that in the concept of offering, you understand that the offering that you give to people, by the trying to explain offering for you so you get it, this is the profit that every single person you're trying to nurture gets by being affiliated with your product. Your business is a place of profit, but for you and the customers. It's not just a place of profit for you. It's a place of profit for every single person. But how does the customers make profit? The difference between the cost of production and the price you set your services or products are is the profit for you. The difference between the cost and the price is your profit. But the difference between the price and the offer is the profit for the client. So what is that thing that you add to your product or services that gives people a profit so they can be affiliated or they come to do business with you? That talks about the offer. You can do that with benefits. You can do that with whatever advantage you can create for this. But it's one way you can nurture people, to let people know that by being part of this thing we do, that you can also make a profit. You can also have an advantage. And the last way you nurture people is by the question. Question talks about every single person who uses a thing, who purchases a thing, have a question. They have something that they need answered. This is not you making up a question and answering it. The one way you can find out the questions people ask is your competitors, your rivals, the best of the best, wherever it is that they are found, social media, wherever. If you go to their comment sections or go to or ask or inquire from the people who make purchase from them and find out what are the questions that people are asking in regards to this. Is it question in terms of use? Is it question in terms of functionality, efficiency, efficacy? What is the question on? You want to try to answer those questions in your nurturing. Now, these 6 things I mentioned, the product, the process, the person, the value, the offering, the questions, the problem, you could encompass this in your social media platforms. It should carry all this. Your social media platform shouldn't just be boring and you're just putting up the products you sell and all that. You should put up the process, you should put up the value, you should put up the offering, you should put up solutions to questions and all that. But outside your social media platforms, these are things you can also send to these individuals. Even if whether you have their WhatsApp numbers, whether you have their email contacts, this is how you nurture them, not just to bombard them with messages on patronizing you and all that. These 6 things are how you nurture. These are how you nurture people to be the option when they want to buy. If these things are not involved in your nurturing, you find it very difficult to scale up your business. This is difficult to do, but with your business, you're not targeting things that are easy. You're trying to simplify things. You're making it simple. This simplifies it for you. It doesn't make it easy for you. The job still have to be done by doing this. But at least with this, you've gotten a simplistic approach to creating nurturing processes for people so you be the option when they want to buy. Now, there are 4 objectives of nurturing. There are 4 things you want to accomplish as far as nurturing is concerned. If these things are accomplished, you'd know, yes, I've done a successful nurturing process or job for my clients. Number 1 is you want to educate people. Number 2 is you want to entertain people. Number 3 is you want to isolate people. And number 4, you want to satisfy people. But what does this mean? To educate people doesn't mean to give them information. There are lots of tools that are giving people information. There are lots of social media, there are lots of AI tools that people can get information from. So it's not really for you to inform them about the product that they use. Most of the time, the people are more informed of the product than even the people creating the product because they're in the user experience of the product. But by education, what you want to show people is the personal understanding and experiences that you've had or that people have had in using this product or services, not just the information about it. They can read up the information everywhere, but outside the information about this product, this is what the understanding, the experience from people who have used this. Now, there's a risk when you're educating people using by providing understanding and not just information and giving people the experiences of others who have used this. The risk is that you're likely to lose the person. You're likely to lose them because if you educate them, you also empower them to make a decision. The indicator for education is the empowerment to make decision. And if you've done that, you've completed the process of education. But they could make this decision and make it against you. They could end up not choosing the thing you created because you've educated them and now they're equipped to probably figure out that, well, what you're offering is not it. But that is fine. You can lose the person, but you can get the recommendation from them for someone who needs that thing you're creating. So that is what you want to do with education. The second that have to do with entertainment is this. Entertainment doesn't necessarily mean for you to be funny or crack jokes with your product or services. Entertainment is simply a pleasant experience to the person's senses. How can you create a pleasant experience to the person's senses? And the way you do that is by being excellent. Excellent doesn't talk about the avoidance of mistakes in what you do and all that. It's acceptance despite mistakes. That is, how can I make this excellent enough for people to accept it despite the incompetence and the mistakes it have, and give people an emotional experience of this thing without their participation or involvement. If you've ever seen something entertaining, the one thing that stands out and makes it entertaining is the excellence that was put into it. Not necessarily the sophistication of equipment, or not necessarily the skills and all that, but the excellence that was put into the depiction of the value. That is what creates entertainment, and you want to do that as well. Then the third has to do with isolation. Isolation is simple. You want to be consistently creating the value that you give to these people, that they feel they don't have to go elsewhere to get some things that they are missing. You're doing that with nurturing. It means the goal with isolation is consistency. You have to keep up putting things out there that diversifies in information and knowledge to give them a wholesome feeling that you really know what it is that you're doing. Don't forget the statement that if you can describe the person's problem more than they can, they will trust you to provide the solution. It's why you want to keep on consistently updating yourself and providing this information. And the last have to do with satisfaction. Satisfaction is not necessarily for everybody. Not every single person can satisfy their clients. With satisfaction, you're going to, if you've ever seen some of those videos that just gives you this satisfying feeling, this satisfying effect, it's probably where the use of sophistication in equipment comes in, precision, the accuracy in display. You might not really have the tools to do all that. You might not really have the tools to be precise. You might not have the sophistication to be clear in whatever, if it's something that needs high quality display, you might not really have all that. So you might not really have the tool to satisfy your clients. But the one way you can do that if you don't have the tools is to go beyond the point of providing the value to creating something with a strong emotional pull. Rather than it's like eating the same meal that probably fueled your hunger. But right now, if you keep feeding on the same thing, at some point you get satisfied. You necessarily don't have to change or do anything, but it went beyond the normal thing it should create, which is just providing a means for your hunger to be, done with, and creating satisfaction. So you can go beyond the value you create to something more and create satisfaction, even if you don't have the sophistication for it. But the usual way for creating satisfaction is precision, sophistication of equipment, and it costs a whole lot of money to create satisfaction for clients. So this is how you nurture people. The next time, I'll be showing you how to convert these people. You now have their time. How do you convert this time to money? How do you synthesize influence and attach it to this product and these people that you've nurtured? Now you have their interest, you have their time there. How do you get them to pay you? So that is that for this live class. I'll see you next on this, and thank you for listening.